Welcome to the Natural Animal Podcast. This week, I am joined by one of my beautiful, beautiful, long-standing clients, Elsa, who has been on a deeply personal journey with her dogs, Minty and Lila, two beautiful Dalmatians. And we're going to be talking about what brought her to holistic support for her dogs, what we've worked on together, and the insights and transformations that have unfolded along the way, not just for Minty and Lila, but for Elsa as well as the human guardian. So whether you're navigating health challenges with your own animal or simply curious about what holistic animal care looks like, what it's like to walk this path of deep connection and healing, this conversation is for you. Hello and welcome to the Natural Animal Podcast. I'm your host, Ruth Hatten. I'm an animal naturopath and just big animal lover in general. Here on the show, we share thoughts and ideas about the nature of animals, their preferences, their behaviors, their ways of being, to engender a greater understanding, respect, compassion, and love for all animals, companion, farm, and wild. I hope you enjoy this week's episode. So let's bring Elsa on to the screen for the video version. Hello, Elsa. Welcome.
Hello and hello everybody. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. This is the first kind of like pet parent show that I've done for the podcast. So, I think it would be great.
Yeah, how cool. How cool to be the first one.
Like naturally you are going to be one of those, and you were the first one that came to mind. I can't remember the initial conversation we had about it, but literally just because of your dedication to this path, our relationship, and I know you love to talk, as do
Yeah,
I. So you don't want a podcast guest who doesn't like to talk, right? So
that's exactly right. And one that wants to talk about like that we can talk about our animals. We can talk about our animals for hours, for eternity. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm definitely really excited. It's been lovely in the lead up to recording this episode. It's given me a bit of time to reflect on my journey and our journey that I've had with both my dogs. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to share. It's taken many twists and turns, but I feel like for me, being a pet parent out there listening to this story, I would find really inspiring and empowering. And yeah, so it's such a
yeah.
privilege that we've been given this opportunity to share our story.
Well, I mean, all I can say is thank you. Thank you for trusting me with beautiful Minty and Lila, and as well, excuse me, as we'll uncover. We started working with Minty first. Like I've reviewed their cases and reviewed Minty's very, very first wellness plan, which is I compare what it was then to what my plans look like now. Lots of changes, but yeah. So we'll be going through that journey, and just there has been a lot of twists and turns along the way. But this is life, right? This is like you can have the best intentions in mind, but then little things are going to pop up, and there's reasons for why those things pop up. And as you know, walking that true holistic path, the lessons that we can learn from our animals when we pay attention. Like your journey just demonstrates that so well. So yeah, let's get into it. So Elsa, bit of a pop quiz. How did we first connect? Do you remember?
Through Instagram. So on social media, we definitely connected.
Yeah.
So the story,
It's hard to remember because it was a long time ago. It was 2021.
yes.
So what were you like, what were you looking for and why that prompted you to find me on Instagram?
So back all those many, many moons ago, so 4 years ago, coming up 4 years ago, We finally decided, it's been a long time coming, but finally decided to bring the next generation of fur babies into our home. And so I was bringing home, I'd found this beautiful little Dalmatian spotty puppy, who's now named Minty, and knew
And
like
he
the,
was little. He was only, well, when we had the first consult, he was 12 weeks.
yes,
And you got him
so
from 8 weeks.
yeah.
So he was tiny, tiny, tiny.
Tiny, tiny, but chunky. He was a big puppy. He was a chunky, gonna be the
Gonna be
writings on
big.
the
Yeah.
wall, gonna be a big chunky boy.
Yeah.
And he was just full of enthusiasm and sharp little teeth. From,
Oh,
from
yeah. Those baby teeth are sharp.
I called him, he still is a bit of a spottysaurus, occasionally. A little Tyrannosaurus Rex comes out. But yeah, so it was such an exciting time in our home. We'd finally decided, we'd been talking about it for a while. And me being I grew up with lots of animals around me, and I'm such an animal person. It had been a long time. As an adult, I hadn't brought a new fur baby into the home, a new animal. So it'd been a long time for me. And it was such a beautiful time in our lives.
And it's so
Finally,
exciting when you bring a new baby home.
yeah, and especially a furry one. I do like
Well, yes, I have no experience of bringing human babies home, and neither do you, right? You don't have kids either, so it's only ever furry babies.
babies. And so in that time, like since my childhood pets and childhood animals, I'd been on such a big health journey personally myself, and had kind of been introduced, and this is years and years prior to bringing Minty home, had been introduced to the world of kind of natural health, holistic healing, and wellness. And I knew before we even, so from we said yes to Minty, and I knew we had like a 2 week gap before we were bringing him home. And in that 2 weeks, I just went crazy. I knew that the way that I'd learned how to look after my health and view my health from that kind of holistic, well-being viewpoint, that's exactly how I wanted to take care of my future puppy that I was
Mm.
bringing home. The same values I had for myself was
Yeah,
exactly the
yeah.
same values that I wanted to have for him.
Yeah, and I think that you might have actually, because when you filled out the first questionnaire, so we must have connected on Instagram or something before then. Like there must have been, people don't just jump into a consult. So I'm trying to think. The only reason I'm bringing up this up is because I was like, I kind of have this memory, and maybe I'm confusing it with Lila, but I kind of have this memory of us speaking before Minty even arrived.
Mm.
Does that sound familiar? And I've got so many I've got like four of you in my database.
Oh,
But
that's
it's kind of, yeah, I just have that feeling that yeah,
mm.
we spoke, and then maybe you got Minty and you said, I've got him, and then I was like, and then you went and booked it. But anyway, I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, I can't remember that, Ruth. I honestly can't remember. I know straight away. I literally Googled. I don't know if I like searched in Instagram or searched on Google. It was one or the other, like animal
Mm,
naturopath. Like I knew what to expect from a human. I'd been and seen naturopaths, like human naturopaths, and
yeah,
I knew
yeah.
that was the type of support that I was wanting for me to help me with my new puppy. And so I think I literally Googled animal naturopath, and Ruth's profile or page was the first thing that came up. And straight away, like I was like, that's yep, that's what I'm
That's what
looking
I'm looking for. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but I can't, yeah, I
I don't
definitely
know. Like I was just looking at the records of the four Elsas,
mm,
and the first one is I obviously didn't write notes down in that one, but it was the first point of contact was 30th of March 2023. That's when your first contact was created in my database, and we had you filled out the questionnaire on the 20 on on Minty on No, that's not even right because it was 20 or 21. So who knows? Anyway, like I said, why am I looking at this? My brain does these weird things. It's like, does this really matter? No. Does the audience care? No. Let's just get to that. So I'm going to stop that line of thought and let's just get back to yes. So you found me on Instagram. You were looking for an animal naturopath. Here I am. What next?
I I literally consumed in that. So first things first, the first thing that I was looking at having help with, it was learning how to feed my new puppy that I was bringing home. Like I
Yeah.
knew, just from me and my understanding around nutrition and food, I knew that like I don't quote unquote want to put junk food in my body. And the types of what is junk food? It's the prepackaged foods that sit on the
Mm,
shelves. And I had already an understanding and just like knew that and I don't know how I knew this. I think it was just purely having that understanding that food that's bagged up and sitting on shelves typically usually isn't the best thing to be,
yeah. You
putting into
already
our
knew
body.
that, like, you knew that for you, real, whole, clean foods are
Mm,
important for health. So it was just kind of like this, huh, well, that pet food does not match my understanding
yes.
of healthy eating.
Yeah,
Mm,
100%. And so, and then from there, I was like, well, I don't know, because all I've ever known and all we're ever been taught, if you buy this, premium bag of canned food or dry food, and this
premium.
premium, the word's premium,
I
but they
know the amount of times
premium
I
and
hear,
balanced.
I'm feeding a high quality kibble. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't exist. Sorry.
And yeah, so I straight away, I think I literally just dive straight into all of your content you had on your page, checked out your website, checked out because Ruth's got this most amazing kind of portfolio of resources. You've got amazing blog posts. There wasn't the podcast back then, but the podcast
No.
is definitely here now.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
yes,
Despite tech errors, for those of you listening now, we've already spent 40 minutes recording and except it wasn't recorded. So this is take two. So, yes, despite all the tech dramas, the podcast is here.
which we love. Like I'm a massive consumer of all of Ruth's work, and I've been like that right from the beginning. Ruth's style and just Ruth's vibe, Ruth's style, her and like I know for me, I have trust in Ruth's work because I know that she wouldn't put out anything that she doesn't have trust in. And
Yeah.
so instantly, I had that relationship with
And
Ruth.
I'm a hard one to trust. I don't trust easily.
Yeah, and that quality I really resonated with Ruth. And so I knew anything, any brands that she was recommending. I picked that up without even before even having our first consult. I picked that up and I was like, I trust what you're saying.
Yeah, because you were already feeding brands that are still on my recommended list of commercial pet foods, right?
Mm,
And so, yeah, you look at that and it's like, well, you were feeding a good diet.
mm,
But yeah, you'd pick that up from whatever avenue I'd shared. Where, what?
yeah,
I mean, who knows? A blog post, who knows? Where Instagram, who knows?
I
Yeah.
remember. I can't quite remember, but I
Doesn't
definitely,
matter, but yeah.
before I even brought my puppy home, I went and purchased those particular products, had them in the fridge, in the cupboard, ready
All
to
ready
go.
to go. Yeah.
All ready to go. And it wasn't until so the first consult came about, I within the first couple of weeks. So because it was kind of bringing my puppy home was kind of a spontaneous thing, but not a spontaneous thing. It had been in the pipeworks for a while, but I didn't know I was specifically going to be bringing home a Dalmatian. There was that little soul that I connected with his soul straight away. So me being me and probably a bit naive back in the day, I was kind of like, it's a dog, it's a puppy. Like I've owned dogs
Not
before.
the easiest of breeds to choose from
No.
as we experienced, or as we went through in your reasons for booking that consult.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely as it unfolded. So after it brought Minty home, wasn't having any health issues or any issues
Mm,
straight away. But me, I don't even know how I came about it. I think I might have been reading one day or like reading something about Dalmatians and came across that they need a specific low purine diet.
yes.
Because they have a breed predisposition to urinary stones, and how we manage that is through diet and lifestyle, but predominantly diet. And my like straight away I was like, help, somebody please help.
You're probably like, first, what the hell are purings? And then you're like, puring foods. Oh my God, there's so many.
So a lot of the pre-packaged kind of raw dog foods were, so with a low purine diet, we need to avoid organ meats.
Yeah,
And
that's like the main thing. And that's like such a crucial part of a
mm,
natural, biological, ancestral, canine appropriate diet is the offal.
mm,
Cats too. So, but for your Dalmatians and other breeds that need that low purine diet because of their anatomy and their biology, it's like a whole really important part of the diet that is not necessarily a good thing for them.
yeah.
Mm.
And so I definitely, that's when we booked in that first consult,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, Ruth, please help. I
And so we unpacked it all and you got, looking at, the wellness plan from 9th of September 2021.
oh,
It's like in the archives, talking about Minty, puppy, no health issues, but the breed disposition for urinary stones, needing a low purine diet, managing stressors, ensuring hydration, minimizing toxins. But yeah, the most thing was about that low purine, but we're supporting the urinary system, the immune system, and then it just goes through the personalized diet plan for Minty, which, for those of you who've got plans off me before, you know that the diet section is kind of like a choose your own adventure recipe. Like it has all the different categories. Um, and and then, options within those categories and the quantities and stuff. And then it goes all into, meal planning. And I gave you a little herbal infusion to support Minty's kidneys as a preventative for urinary stones.
something I
So,
still definitely use today
and
too.
that was a DIY. That was like make it yourself because you were already interested in natural ways of doing things. So it's like, you could get your witch on and
Yes.
make up some herbal magic for Minty as and when you needed it and in a really gentle way, like making up a herbal infusion is you're essentially making up a cup of tea, right? And different parts of the herbs require different forms of, the hard parts need to be a decoction on the stove. The soft parts, just like making a cup of tea, boil the water, stick it in a vessel, cover it, allow for the infusion to happen and all the medicinal components to come out, for want of a better expression. But yes, and then, supplements in there and then a whole bunch of other stuff. So that was, the plan back then. Now they're even longer. They're like 19 pages. That was like 7 pages because now it's got energy stuff and just more detail in there. But that was what we started with. Um, and I, and then it was over to you to put that action,
Mm.
to put that plan into action.
Which
Mm.
was definitely, I still refer back to that original plan even today. Like, for anyone that's listening that's received, as you said before, one of Ruth's plans before, the level of support that is in there. And there's little key takeaway things that, 2 years down the track, here I am 4 years down the track, I still occasionally there'll be
Yeah.
something pop up that I know that I can go back to that plan, and there'll be like a little section that'll give me an idea or give me a kind of a direction to head. They're so comprehensive. And I remember feeling like, having that first consult, because I was quite, like, I was worried about it heading in, like,
Mm.
when I discovered that about the changes I need to make to his diet. And I also still had kind of a bit of fear-based worry that I now know, like, me, current version me sitting here today now
Yeah,
knows that
yeah,
programming and the belief systems that, like, the big, food companies and stuff try and, basically shove in your face, that am I,
yeah.
with a growing puppy, you
Yeah,
need to
this
make
is what you need, and you must feed this diet to have a healthy puppy. And it's
mm,
like it's kind of like as you said, it creates fear, and then you might look at other things and then you get confused, and it's just easier just to listen to the loudest voice, which is the
Mm,
pet food industry and the really big pet food brands. And there's not even space in your mind to explore anything but that because you're so friggin' scared of doing anything other than that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then
that's that
worrying.
programming, right? You've got to do it this way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. The
Forget
balance.
about common sense. You have to do it this way.
Yeah, yeah. And like the balance was the
Balance
theme
to
around
complete at
having a
every meal. Yes.
balance and that really that held on to me
Mm.
and so I was worrying about like, am I giving my puppy enough nutrition for his growing body
At
um
every meal.
at every meal.
Yes.
And like now sitting here now and what I've learned and how I've grown and evolved from that place, like that's not even a worry that I have anymore. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't even
Well, you've learned
um
so much and you've also lived what you've learned, but also the living has helped, has been a learning in itself, right?
yeah.
And you can see how beautifully healthy your dogs are by not going down that, listening to the loudest voice.
And I think I've mitigated, already prevented and mitigated issues
Yeah.
that could have been like we've had some health challenges, but I feel like
And
we've
we're gonna
mitigated.
unpack those a bit in a minute.
Yes. We
Um,
yeah, right from that, from setting myself up like that right from the beginning and having I that was I walked away from that first consult feeling so supported and
yeah.
really clear. Like Ruth gave me, the beautiful plan that you receive, and you're given literally a direction to go. And it's like Ruth was there holding my hand,
Yeah.
you know, each step of the
I
way.
am there virtually, energetically holding every client's hand along the way.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
didn't
of
you
course.
have you had you got the puppy wellness program before the consult,
Yes.
didn't you?
Yes, I purchased. So, see, they've got a beautiful portfolio of resources. I purchased Ruth's Puppy Wellness, or the Puppy Program Pack, I think it was called
Whatever it
back in
was called
the
back
day.
then.
Um, and that in itself is so valuable. Like for anyone, the real food diet ebooks
Yeah,
and
so
the
that yeah.
puppy and the kitten, like the puppy pack or the kitten pack. If you guys, you want to start somewhere and you just like, even if you know of somebody that's bringing a new fur baby home, that's like the best welcome home present that you could give to
Yeah.
any.
Like I don't do gift cards, but you could literally just buy it for the person, put in their email, and then they get this thing and they're like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did this come from? This is amazing.
That those like I still refer back to both of those today. And the everything you
What
need for
is it
this
in the
foundation.
program that you refer back to today?
Oh, in the puppy
A puppy,
program.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I definitely, for a long time, I referred back to the recipes. I was
Yes.
making, Ruth's got beautiful recipes in there. Whenever I'd have a question that would come up, like I'd think about, because Ruth's got sections in the puppy pack about all the different areas of foundations for health. So the stuff about food, the stuff about hydration, about play, about low tox, like minimizing
Yes.
toxins.
Yeah.
Whenever I'd have like a question that would come up in me around like, how do I do that for my puppy? Like it might be, I'd literally refer back to the book and be like, what did Ruth write in that section about that? And it would give me, I'd go back and have a read.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it'd be brand recommendations. And it would just give me a really good direction to kind of head to research and look into finding the answers for my questions that I have.
Which is perfect because that's what it's designed to do, right? It's designed to give you that information that is not the loudest voice, but is the common sense voice and that aligns with, a dog's ancestral nutrition and what they need as a growing pup. But yeah, as you say, it's not just about nutrition. That's why it's called now, anyway, the puppy wellness program. Yeah. Because it's not just about diet, right?
Mm, mm,
Core foundation, but there's more than one core foundation. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, cool. So you had, where's my little notes to keep us on track, given the dramas we've already had?
Real life, guys. Real
So
life.
I mean, what were you hoping for? Like you'd done a deep dive, you'd been stalking me and you'd read some blog posts and all of that, and you bought the puppy bag and you did all this and you had a consult, you know, and I did you have any specific intentions in mind?
Not only other than setting myself up from the
Yeah.
beginning in the way that I was wanting to do it. That was really my intention is like I'm preventative, like I'm going to come in, we're going to set
Yeah.
us up, we're going to set us up strong. And my idea was going to be smooth sailing from then on out, like which it hasn't
That
been.
was the idea, yes.
Was the idea.
Best
Um,
intentions.
but yeah, so definitely it was because it was my first experience owning or having animals with this new understanding I had around health. I
Mm.
had to relearn how to do it all. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had to relearn, and so that was my intention was just supporting myself and educating myself around how to do this the way that I was wanting to
Yeah,
do it.
perfect. And so tell us a bit about Minty, and then we'll move into a bit about Lila. So obviously Minty came you as a cute, adorable little 8 week-year-old Dalmatian. What's his personality and what challenges have you had with him?
They both my dogs are absolutely like they for anyone that's ever owned a Dalmatian before or had any kind of experience with Dalmatians, you'll know that they're not your typical dog. Like when you think of the things a dog does and a dog likes, like they're definitely dogs, but I call them human dogs. Like they're spotty, four-legged, furry
Humans.
humans. And right from day one, like it's been such a beautiful journey with them both. Like, I, it has grown. It's been completely different to what I was expecting bringing a puppy home.
Yeah,
But the most enriching, beautiful. Like they're my best friends, and like literally, like having a human there. My spotty humans. They walk with
are your
me.
crew. Is one of
They're
them
my
barking
crew.
at the moment?
This is Minty. I
It
think
is
he
Minty. Yeah,
knows.
yeah.
So one of his quirks, guys, this is one of Minty's quirks, is whenever I have attention that's directed somewhere,
Mm, yes.
he's like, Mum, excuse me, but remember,
Hello.
hello.
I'm here. You should be focusing all of your energy on me because I'm amazing.
So Minty specifically is the most beautiful, like he has a depth to him. He has a
Mm.
real depth to him
He
that
does. He has that kind of like, do you think he's kind of like old man energy?
yeah, he's very wise, really
Mm,
wise, really. He's very cheeky. He's got like a class clown kind of
yeah,
to his personality. Like he makes you laugh on the daily, which is a typical Dally thing. Like Dalmatians are known for being really playful and cheeky and kind of clumsy
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
right. But he's also got a very serious side to him too. That's got a lot
Mm,
of his soul has got a lot of depth to it.
yeah.
And he is
There's
very,
rawness there, as we've discovered on the journey, right? Of the stuff that's come up for him.
yeah, definitely.
Mm,
And it's layers. There's lots of like
yeah.
we all have layers.
Yes, we do.
Every soul has layers.
Mm,
But Minty's layers, like every time we're just uncovering more and more and more as we go. So
yeah.
like the journey it's been with him over the last 4 years, like I can't imagine where we're going to be in another four
In
years.
another 4 years. Yeah, because he's still really young. Well, he's four.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of we're just entering adulthood, I think now.
It's taken him a while.
We've just kind of hit the next phase.
Yeah, yeah.
I've actually noticed that in his not only in his kind of mindset and personality, but also in his body. I've actually noticed in his physical health, I've also seen the transition over the last probably 6 or so months as well. We've entered the next kind of stage.
So let's talk about that, like the physical or the health challenges, because it's not just physical, right? There's been some emotional stuff as or some. There's been quite a bit of emotional stuff with Minty as well. So, can we talk a bit about the health challenges that you've come up with Minty?
So there's quite a few.
Well,
I don't know if
start from
we're
the beginning. Like I have
beginning.
my records here, so I've got a little bit of a cheat sheet going on. But I'm not going to ruin your your
One
exploration.
with him. So he definitely it's been a journey. It's been a journey with Minty, definitely. And we're coming back to the layers. We've
Yes, yes,
definitely have layers. What I've found with him is he very much displays he displays emotional symptoms, but where it began, and I purely think this is because this is where my awareness and understanding was at, is he had to show me we had to have changes in his physical symptoms for
yeah.
me to be able to kind of start that journey with
It's
him.
a way for them to get your attention.
Yeah. And it worked. It
Yeah.
definitely, and it's still to this day, like
Yeah. And
it's,
you're so clued in now with his symptoms. You're like, oh,
yeah,
you can catch the things before they
yeah, yeah,
arise because you're just so clued into his way of being and where his weaknesses are and what are the contributing factors to those weaknesses. And that is, that's the ideal for every pet parent is because and your case demonstrates this is or your story demonstrates this or Minty's story demonstrates this like you started perfectly
mm,
with him. Like you did everything right in terms of the diet and all of that. But then stuff came up. And this is why I said before, diet is a core foundation, but it's not the only thing that dictates health and
mm,
well-being, right?
mm.
And so I have down here the first physical symptom that he showed up with was the red itchy skin. Do you remember
Yes,
that?
yes, yep, definitely do.
Yeah.
Red itchy skin, and that changed quite quickly. The red itchy skin we very occasionally comes up now, but that
When
kind
do
of
you notice that it comes up now? Have you noticed a particular pattern?
yes, I think a little bit more kind of spring, summer and
Yeah.
damp. I've actually noticed that it seems to aggravate
Interesting.
in like wet grass
Yeah.
or running in wet grass.
Yeah.
Um, but it goes away. See, now I have the tools
Mm.
that yeah, it's really not an issue for us anymore. The
Yeah.
skin really the skin morphed into actually showing blood in his urine was the
Yes.
kind of the I think there was probably many smaller, more subtler signs along the way that
Yeah.
I just didn't could see but didn't see and didn't understand what he was trying
Yeah.
to tell me.
Yep.
Until one day we wake up and we're literally weeing blood, and that definitely got mum's attention. Like
Hmm.
that worked.
Yeah.
Um, so he's had a bit of a history over the last 4 years, with having UTIs, with having kind of like bladder inflammation. Blood in the urine has been the biggest
Yeah.
symptom of them
And
all.
that is definitely in terms of his constitution, that is an
Mm,
area of weakness. That's probably his biggest area of weakness is his urinary system.
yeah.
Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think like straight away, it's been quite a journey for us. It's been quite the journey for us. Like straight away, like I got so anxious about it. And like
Mm.
we literally took him to the vet. We had all of these tests done. We've had, tried this, tried that, and everything would come back relatively clear, other than that there was inflammation in that particular part of his body.
Yeah.
And so over the last 4 years, like I leaned into Ruth so much for support through that whole time. And I tell you what, guys, out of anything that I've tried, like herbs for the urinary system are
Mm.
like, I don't get as quick a effect from anything else.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we've leaned into beautiful bespoke herbal elixirs for both my dogs, but for
Mm.
Minty, in the beginning, it within a matter of hours, those herbs are already supporting his urinary
Yeah,
system when
it's
we
so
have a
amazing.
flare. they work amazingly.
Yeah.
And the dogs love taking them too. Like my right from the beginning, I've never
Although
had
there
any
have been some blends that Minty hasn't liked.
true, true,
I
true.
remember one time he said to me, Ruth, can you let me know what it is? Because I need to make sure that, I don't know if Minty's going to like it. And I'm like, oh, well, okay.
It's the connection I have with my
It's like, I don't know what's going to taste like until I've made it. And by then the work is done.
nine out of 10, I reckon, the herbals, he asks for them. He actually comes and asks for
Yeah.
them the next time for his herbals.
And that's one
Um,
of the things that I do pride myself on is they need to be palatable. Otherwise, it's not medicine if they don't take it.
mhm.
So
And it,
no alcohol in my herbals that I make in these bespoke herbal elixirs because that affects palatability in a massive way.
and I've not
And there's
like
other issues with it as well, but it's in terms of palatability, it's a huge disincentive. Like even for humans, if you've ever taken a herbal tincture, sometimes when I taste some of my glycid tracks that I make for animals, I'm like I had one, there was one that I did the other day. I was like, Jesus, that's quite delicious.
yeah, yeah, they're sweet.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
sweet. They're sweet. Yeah.
lovely and sweet. And you can feel like when
And
you get
dogs have sweet taste receptors. They like sweet things, so it's perfect for them. Yeah.
these guys love there when they get a herbal that arrives. It's you can tell, and it's special. Like you know that when you open up that bottle, something that's been made just for you or just for your fur
Yeah,
baby, it's
exactly.
something just so special and intentional about that medicine. Yeah, so we've leaned into, yeah, so a huge like coming back to the layers that are
Yeah. So we had the
minty.
skin and we had the urinary. There was
Mm,
some pickiness with food, but I
yes,
think in terms of the layers, one thing that came up quite early on, let me check my records. Missing. I'm searching for the word. I know it's in there. Missing. Oh gosh, miss. I can't find it. Anyway, what came up was how much Minty missed your partner, Anthony, whenever he would go away. So
yes,
that brought up this emotional layer, which I believe is a crucial aspect of what goes on with Minty's physical presentations. Would you like to speak a bit about the emotional layer with Minty?
yeah, definitely. The emotional layer is, I would say, the biggest layer and the biggest driving factor we have with Minty. And it's not until kind of now, it's taken me 4 years, like it's taken me until now with a whole amount of support, um, you know, leaning into different modalities. Like there's been a team that's got us to where we are today.
Yeah, yeah.
But
There
from what
has been, yes.
yeah, a huge team for Minty, for Minty and I, and our journey
And I
together.
think I know most of them.
Yeah, yeah, I think you do. Um, and see, I like Ruth's coming back to like the trust I have in Ruth's recommendations. Like I know if Ruth recommends a product, a service, a person, a place, I trust it because um there's authenticity and integrity in all of Ruth's work. And I
Yeah.
that was something that really appealed to me and I felt that right from the beginning when I was, scrolling through all of your social media content that it stood out to me and it still is the same today.
Yeah. And you're still two of them, you've used quite a lot, Gary and Claire. I can't for the
Yes,
life of me think of Gary's last name. What's Gary's
right,
last name?
right.
Yes, Dr. Gary Bright. Is it Bright? No, that's not right. Roy Vet.
Okay. Oh,
It is Bright. Dr. Gary Bright from Maple Street Vet, just 10 minutes down the road
mm,
from me. And Claire Deal has had a huge
mm.
role to play as well.
And Claire's got previous episodes on the podcast, I think from last
She
season.
does, two or three.
Yeah. Go
Yes.
and listen to those guys. Like if you sound like you have a pet or a fur baby that has the layers and has is it sensitive and prone to experiencing a lot of stress, a lot of emotional stress.
Yeah.
and you want to looking into kind of the energetics and
what's beneath
what's
those layers.
beneath
And
that.
because we're looking at things like, soul contracts.
Mm,
And this totally comes up with you, Minty, and Lila. Um, what our animals are here to help teach us on our journey. But then also mirroring comes up a lot with companion animals and their humans. Like I literally had a conversation with someone yesterday about her cat, or is it a dog? I can't remember. Maybe it was a dog. Let's go with dog. No, I'm pretty sure it was a cat. Anyway, a dog or a cat with it was just an initial chat. So it wasn't like they're not a client yet. So I'm not 100% my memory recall. I've had a few conversations since then, but it was a dog or a cat. I'm leaning towards cat who has like IBS like symptoms. And I said to her, "Do you have IBS?"
mm,
She says, "Yes, I do."
mm,
No surprises there, right? Like the mirroring, which is a type of soul contract, mirroring physical symptoms or emotional symptoms. So all of that. So some of that we talk about, with Claire, but also lots of different things. But yeah, if you want to look at more of the deep, emotional, energetic, soulful aspect of human animal relations, the Claire Deal episodes on the podcast are definitely worthwhile listening to. But yeah, I haven't had Gary on the show yet. I've always had a plan to have him on. There's one particular thing that I'd love to have him on to talk about. But yeah, they were people that I had other practitioners that I had recommended to you, and you sought them out, and you've worked with them on several occasions, and they've been a great assistance with both
mm,
dogs' journeys. Yeah. Also, especially with Claire giving us additional insights to work with in terms of,
mm,
those layers. Like at times there's stuff that's come up for Minty around the heart.
mm,
And that's when I made that beautiful herbal with the rose and, um, but yeah, that ties in as well to that terrible missing
mm,
of your partner, his human daddy,
mm.
that came up, that
That was
has
a
come
huge
up.
piece. Huge.
Huge piece. So understanding that and seeing how it's relevant to his physical health I think that would have been a huge light bulb moment for you. Yeah.
Massive, massive. Like we haven't I view Minty in a whole different way now to
Mm,
like it has been such a journey, and like not just for him, for me as well, like the learning and uncovering, um and yeah, having that deeper understanding has really transformed the way that I approach him, and I approach his needs, his well-being, and yeah, it's definitely for the better, for the better. Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
And there was some mirroring going on there. I'm just going to say two words and let me know if you want to talk about it. You don't have to go into detail, but just to kind of like highlight this in terms of an example of the mirroring, and this is taken from Minty's patient record, is the emotional support or lack of emotional support that you felt or that you had felt, and
Mm,
how that was showing up with Minty's missing human
mm,
daddy, your
mm.
partner.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
see, knowing that, and like I sit down and thank my fur babies, thank my dogs every single day for them choosing me, like choosing
Mm.
me as their guardian. And one of the things that I thank Minty for, like now that I know this, like now that I'm so far and we're so far down the track,
Yeah.
it's the work that, the symptoms that he's displayed, the challenges that we've had that's come up, that it's made me explore different avenues with him, and the information and the understanding that we've uncovered along the way.
Mm.
And even just knowing that in itself, like that's a life-changing piece of information, that not only for me to be able to help him, but knowing that was such a pivotal turning point in our journey for me to actually be like, hang on a minute, with the mirroring and learning about that,
Mm.
how much of this is actually mine that he's trying to show me, teach me,
Yeah. And
guide me. Yeah. And yeah, sorry, Ruth.
it's fine. To me, it's such an important aspect of the journey. It's kind of like, well, my animal has all these presentations, and then I'm always there going, take a
Mm,
moment to reflect on this. Does any of this feel familiar to you in terms of your life, your being, how you feel. And then from when we unpack that, what did you do with that information? How did it change Elsa
Mm,
with, so Menti had this presentation. We found out, well, this is about this lack of emotional support that you have also, or that belief that it's not there, or, that's steeped in, the past, but it's still hanging around, right? And seeing that, well, a lot of this stuff about Minty is bringing this challenge to the surface, and this is why it happens, for you to be able to get healing on this. And so, did you take opportunity to do work for yourself in that area?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's changed
Yeah.
my
So it
life.
starts out all about Minty, but then it also becomes a healing journey for you as well.
Definitely. It becomes an
Yeah.
art. And like he's a teacher. Like he is my teacher every single day. And where I can't see it in myself, or I don't, my level of awareness to myself, or I'm choosing not to see it in myself, he's there reminding me and showing me, but like, hey mum, you actually, this is important for
It's
you.
time to work on this.
So he's literally, the way I show up for myself now is so
Mhm.
much more. I don't even know if English does it justice, Ruth. Like, I don't think we have a word in English, but
Mhm.
it's the way I was, the way in which I was wanting to show up for him, and that's where I was directing my energy. He was mirroring that back in a way to be like, hey, you actually don't need to look at me. You need to like turn it, face it back, and direct a bit of
Show up for
up
yourself
yourself.
in these ways. This is what you need for
Mm.
healing.
And like
And
how, to have that opportunity to have these souls in
yes,
our, in our space, in our world, in our home, that have, the ability to do that for us. Like, they're just amazing. Like they
yeah.
also, there's not enough English words to describe
No,
how
there
amazing
isn't.
they
But
are.
but then it's also like, it's a soul contract, it's a soul agreement. You've both souls, yours and Minty's and Lala's, have agreed to explore these things in this life, in this incarnation. So it's like, it's also having that gratitude for your soul too, because they're like, right, Minty soul, this is Lila's soul. Let's work on this time round.
Yeah,
And I
let's.
just think I feel sad, right, by the majority of pet parents who don't have that understanding of the
Mm,
relationship, the soul connection that's going on beneath the surface, that's there. Like, I mean, I don't know how you can't live without knowing that, but it's
mm,
kind of like it just adds such a layer of depth that, yeah, it's just, like you
yeah,
say, I can't
English.
find the words. English. So,
Yeah.
and I think I've always kind of like not drummed that into you, but it's certainly something, and I'd like to hear your reflection on this. The focus that I put on the human.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah. Do you want to speak about that?
100%. This is where I absolutely like I've been so grateful that I've had the opportunity to meet Ruth for a multitude of reasons, like a multitude of reasons. But the style, like I would come to Ruth though, so I would be in a state of panic because, oh my gosh, my dog's,
This is happening
being
to Minty. You're
hard, like
Lila. Yeah.
sad, something's bad, he's sick, something's wrong. Ruth would always be able to really help me calm me down to begin with, like just calm down and really shift that perspective back to like, let's have a look at this, like let's, how could I be contributing to this
Mm.
space? What is it that Minty's trying to communicate back with me? And I would always leave, and you still do that today, Ruth, like you
Yeah, yeah,
still
yeah. The amount
100%.
of the amount of chats we've had on, in our DMs
Yeah,
about this
it's
stuff. Like, Ruth, this is happening. Okay.
let's take a moment. Let's take a moment to
Yeah.
just like
Breathe,
step back, breathe, and like
reflect.
reflect.
How have you been feeling? How's life been for you lately?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then it's like, yeah, shit, actually, it has been really tough. I have been really, really stressed. Well, so
Yeah.
here is beautiful
Okay.
Minty showing up with,
Mhm.
his symptoms that have shown up in the past, saying,
Mhm.
hey, mum, you need to dial it down a bit. You need
Yeah.
to be taking better care of yourself again.
And I feel like I've made a turning point with that now. Like I feel
Mm.
like we're definitely it's amazing. So as the story goes and the journey goes, the more and
Yeah.
more I've done the work, I'm doing
Yes.
the work for me,
Doing. Yeah.
showing up for myself in the way. Like I'm on my healing journey. He's on his healing journey. We're barely getting any flares now. Like
Yeah,
the
that's
flare, like
amazing. Yeah, I
I
know. We
call
haven't spoken in ages. I think it's the longest period that we haven't spoken.
Yeah, yeah. And because like and I can hear like I can hear Ruth's voice. Like literally sometimes when I'm in like, I'll
It's
start to
hilarious.
spiral down. I can like literally I can be like, but no, have a look at like shift the perspective else. Like have a look at the picture. Where do you need to be
Zoom
focused?
out.
Zoom out, zoom out. What's going on? What can you see?
Mm.
How are you? What's going on for you
Yeah, yeah,
now? Let's put a little bit of focus. And like that practice in itself has changed our trajectory. I can't get the word out, but like changed our
yeah.
path. We yeah, I call them flares when Minty has an
Mm.
exacerbation in symptoms.
Yeah,
Also like anxiety is another big picture to his kind of case. He's a
yes,
bit
yeah,
so we haven't had an anxiety flare or a physical symptom flare for a long time now. And I
yeah.
think,
And that speaks volumes to one, to your dedication, two, to your awareness, your
mm,
understanding of your relationship with Minty, and also your commitment to yourself, right?
mm,
Taking putting attention on yourself, because when you do that and you take better care of yourself, as I always say to my clients, almost always, you're indirectly caring for Minty.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And Minty is there. He's wanting you to take better care of yourself. And that's why he's showing up with this stuff in the
mm,
hope that she'll get the message. And now
mm,
you know those signs so well, and you've got me in your head. Zoom out to zoom in and, reflect, and how's your life been? And okay, and what can you do about that? Do you need
mm,
to say no to some people or to some things? Do you need to change that? How could you change that?
mm.
Yeah.
A handful.
Now, what about Lila? Little
Yes,
Lila, the beautiful
yes,
girl
Lila.
in the equation. Like apart from you, obviously, but you're the woman. She's the girl. Minty's the boy.
Yeah. I feel like we've done a lot of chatting about Minty
I
and
know
we've got
exactly. So we've got to chat Lila for a bit.
beautiful little Lila. So Lila, I knew straight away when from the first moment bringing Minty home, I knew straight away that I needed two. That was not up for
Yeah, yeah,
discussion.
yeah.
So I knew her little soul was out there for
I
me.
remember us talking about this before she came. Yeah.
Oh, she's an absolute ray of sunshine, little light. She's not so little anymore. She was a tiny puppy.
No, she's not.
She's not
Still
from the
smaller than
first
Minty, but yeah, not little Lila anymore.
Not little Lila, but will always be, I think, always be my little Lila,
Yeah.
or our little Lila. Lila come to our home. We found her. I looked at so many puppies before, and it was just like, that's just not the one. That's not the one.
Yeah.
That's not the
Yeah.
one. Until the very first moment, I actually saw a photo of little Lila, and I was like, yep, that's her. That's the one. So she came to our home. Mint was just over 12 months old, so there's a bit of a 12-month gap between them.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah,
It
it
gives
is
you,
nice.
you've got that core kind of like growth period just to dedicate to the one animal and
Yeah,
to that bonding, which is so important.
it's kind of the newborn stage, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Puppies.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and we were wanting, like I knew I wanted to. I knew I wasn't feeling complete without
Mm.
two. But we also with the kind of separation anxiety that we're experiencing with Minty too, that we thought maybe another puppy or another dog in the home
Mm.
might be good for him as well,
Yeah,
like
the
um
company. Yeah.
which like in hindsight we definitely like he it wasn't the fix. I think people think like you get another.
No.
It definitely is not the fix to all your problems.
Yeah.
There's still a lot to navigate. And not only have you got one to navigate with, you've got two
True.
complete individuals to be navigating.
Yeah.
But it's been a really happy story for our home. Like it's worked out really well. So little Lila come and she's the opposite, the
Mm.
complete opposite to Minty. She is like the easy breezy, you know, easy going, easy come kind of girl. She is absolutely just like literally like a little ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
She that's just her soul through and through.
Yeah.
Where I had Minty has intensity and kind of a seriousness about him, and that depth to him. Lila has depth, but it's a lot more, she's like lighter and airier. And
Yeah, definitely.
her as a puppy
That
was like
sensitivity there with her.
sensitivity. She's
Mm.
very feminine. She's
Yeah,
very,
the
very
softness. Yeah.
girly,
Yeah.
very soft. Very protective though.
I
Like
was literally going to say that because I've got written down here, resource guarding includes Elsa exclamation mark. Yeah, that
yeah,
protective
she's very,
archetype. Yeah.
very protective and like in different they're both very protective but in very different
Different. Yeah.
ways to each other. So Lila, compared to my experience as a puppy with Minty, Lila felt like a breath of fresh air. Like she
Mm.
was just so quote unquote easy. Everything
Well,
about
you'd also learned so much from
true.
Minty's first year. You know, you didn't have that
Mm,
fear or confusion. You knew what to feed, you knew what the Dalmatian breed needed,
mm,
so you had a much better grounding
mm.
by the time Lila came along.
Very true. I hadn't actually looked at it like that
Oh,
way,
see,
Ruth.
there you go. There's Ruth's wisdom again
Yeah.
in your head.
Definitely, like, and it was, and her personality too. She just was a bit more. She was a lot more relaxed. She's a lot
Mm.
more what you call like a chill dog.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, but on arrival, Lil Lai also came with a yeast overgrowth from the first day that she arrived. The poor little pupper. So she has definitely had some health challenges over our 3 years
Yes. Her
together.
journey has been interesting.
It has different to Minty's.
Different, but she has had some urinary stuff as well. There was that at least one occasion um, where she had some straining and crystals and UTIs.
I found for her that we had been, she drank some like
That's
water,
right. Some dirty
some
water or
just
stagnant
different
water.
water.
Yeah.
And I found for her that that's a little bit of a trigger. So
Yeah.
she definitely her skin, she had yeasty ears,
Yes.
yeasty skin, itchy ears were her
Yeah. Yeah.
biggest challenge. And I think like also with the learning and understanding that we've done with Lila now, and anybody that's kind of into natural health and gut health will know leaky gut, like we all leaky
Yes.
gut's like plastered. She's your typical leaky gut
Yeah.
type of dog. Which, then again, I've got this beautiful support in this person, like with Ruth. And so I turned to Ruth and be like, help, please help. Like, I know what to do for people, which, like, really funnily enough, is very similar to what we do
Yeah. Yeah.
for our
Yeah.
pets. Just a few little changes and tweaks that we make. But help, please help. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we've got this puppy here that, and so we literally have utilized herbals, some little diet tweaks, and I've
Flower
also
essences. They've been a
flower essence,
big part in both Minty's and Lila's journey
huge
because they
part.
both have a certain level of anxiety. Lila's more like, what have I got written here? Fear, frustration, anxiety.
Mm,
And the resource guarding. And one thing that Claire shared in one of the consults you had with Claire was the high histamine tendency and chemical sensitivity. So lots of different, it's like, bring that layers back, lots of little things that are going on that won't
mm,
necessarily, like you say, there can be flares.
mm,
So it's about understanding, having protocols in place. So if a flare does come up, you
mm.
know how to catch it head on before it turns into a disaster.
Yeah,
But also learning the things that you can do to prevent these things from happening because you have that awareness and you've been through it.
yeah,
You've
yeah.
had that support team along the way to help you.
And I'm now that I've learned, and like with my support team too, Ruth, like there's a huge amount of education. A lot of the work that you
Yes.
do, and that like I've come out the other side of, is once you learn these things, you can't unlearn them. And
Mm.
like that education has been huge. Like it's the education is, I reckon, the most important part of my kind of natural health approach to my with my dogs.
Yeah, well, you know, as they say, knowledge is power, right?
Knowledge is power. Yeah.
Mm.
And understanding, like, just having that knowledge that there's different ways to do things, like, and
Yeah.
when you're presented with a challenge, um you can there are many avenues that you can take and that you can look at, and that's been really empowering,
Yeah,
along
yeah.
the way too.
And it's about what works best for the individual animal.
And both my
Yeah.
dogs are different. Excuse me,
Yes.
both my dogs, yeah, what works for one definitely doesn't work the same for the other. So I lean into different things for each individual,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever need they have at the time
Yeah.
to, which is, yeah, it's been a really beautiful learning journey, really.
And how are they now?
Good. They're good. We definitely, like, we haven't had a flare, I'd
I mean, like I
say.
said, they must be good because we haven't spoken in ages.
We
Probably
haven't
the
spoken.
longest time in in the course of our relationship.
I reckon so,
Yeah.
Ruth. Yeah, I'd agree. We yeah, and very interestingly, turning point, pivot point, is I've been pouring a lot back into myself over this little time,
Interesting. Yes.
this interim.
Because you're busy. Like one of the things I think you said in the first consult we had is your busy, stressful lives,
Yeah.
which is common for so many people.
Mm.
And so, what have you made any changes around that to provide to, take better care of the family whilst
Mm.
living these busy, stressful lives?
Probably, like, yes and no. It's a little bit of a tricky one to
Still
answer
busy
because,
and
yes,
stressful, yes.
still busy and stressful. My expectations have definitely shifted. It's
Amazing.
probably more like there's definitely core things. Like, I have foundational things that I do to support my health, and I've been like that for a very long time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they never really, like, I always nourish myself with real whole food.
yeah,
I always prioritize, like, reducing like my toxic load. I'm very holistically minded.
yeah.
But I think what has shifted, and with in regards to the dogs and our kind of family dynamic, over that little bit of time, is that I've shifted the expectations I have
Mm.
around for myself and for them
Yeah.
as well. And so it's allowed in a lot more ease, I think. Like,
Mm.
life's still stressful, life's still really busy.
Yeah.
But the mindset, I think, behind it, and the inner work, like the energetics, the inner environment behind it, I think that's where the major shifts have happened in this last, like, recently. And
Mm.
I'm seeing that in both the dogs. Like, for the first time, like, now with Minty's health journey, he has been a picky eater right from the
Yes.
get-go.
Yeah.
I haven't necessarily had gut health issues with him, but I've
Mhm.
always struggled to get him to eat food.
Yeah.
So he's 4 years old now. This has been for the last 4 years. Just in the last couple of months, he's now eating everything in sight. Like, he's
Amazing.
excited to see
Yeah.
his, like, he comes to get me at meal times now. Like, and this was
Yeah.
never a thing. He's eating everything that I'm showing him. I'm letting him, he's exploring different food options. Like, his palate's also exploring.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
that in itself is enough evidence and proof for me to be like, what I'm doing
Yeah, is working.
obviously work.
Everything that's been learned, everything that's been done, everything that you're continuing to do and opening up to. Yeah, your dogs are showing to you, yes, 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 yes.
Keep going, mum. Keep
Keep
going.
going.
Like,
You've got it. You've got it.
this is what I've been trying
Um,
to tell
this is
you.
what I've been trying to tell you all along. And how amazing is that? Like to have these little, we kind of touched on this already, but have those little souls here to like, hello, do it differently.
Definitely. So yeah, but yeah, shifting my understanding. an expectation towards
And
myself.
that's such a huge thing. The expectations that we place upon ourselves, upon others. And it's like, and bringing ease, like ease is one of my favorite. I've got something on my fridge that says something like bring ease to tea or something. I don't know. Invite ease to tea or something. But one of my personal mantras that I've, always rely back on is, what would ease have me do? And it's as opposed to fear, stress, worry would have me run around like a crazy person, not eating, not sleeping, stressing out, overwhelmed all the time. Ease, let's bring ease to tea. And what would ease have me do? Ease would have me just, I'm tired, so relax on the couch. I'm tired, so take the weekend off from socializing. Don't leave the house. Just stay. Like Monday, I had a plan to go to the beach and go to the shops and get some food for the cats. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need to get their food. And I really can't be asked going out in the world. So I was like, the food can wait. I can go on Thursday and Friday when I don't have such busy days. And they're open and, the beach or the weather's not that great anyway. So, I just had a lazy day on the couch with the cats and reading. That's what ease would have me do. Fear, stress, worry would have had me go to the beach, go to the shops, da, 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 and it would not have been the right thing for me to do on that day.
Mm,
And
mm,
so it's releasing those expectations that we have upon ourselves. And if I'd done that as well, what would the impact have been on the cats? Well,
yeah.
one, we wouldn't have been able to hang out as much, but I would have come home all flustered. Oh my God, it's like 3 o'clock already. I've still got all this shit to do. I've still got to clean the house, blah, 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 blah. That's not healthful
Mm,
energy to bring home.
mhm,
So we all had a much more restful day because I allowed myself that space to allow ease in and
mm,
not meet those expectations that I tried to put on myself. Like
mhm.
it's so important. So, what is one thing you wish more people knew about their animals?
Oh, that's a tough question too.
I know,
There's
right?
so many answers
There's
you
so
can
many
have.
things, but you'll probably find that a lot of them drill down to a couple of core
Mm,
things, right? Like I know for me,
um,
there's a gazillion things, but it all comes down to one thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, completely understand. I wish people like what they would know more about their animals is the just the level of like intuition and sensitivity. Like their what our human experience that we have, how we see the world, how we interact with the world, is similar but different to how they do, and
Yeah.
they have access to so much more that we
Mm.
don't have access to,
Or that
and
we don't
um,
perceive that we have access to because we've forgotten that it's there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they're still connected to something
Mm.
that we've lost over
Yes.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I wish that people would, yeah, understand that a little bit
Mm.
more about animals and about their animals. And
Their wisdom and intelligence and what they actually bring to the
yeah,
table.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
reckon I've always kind of known that, but my experience with my fur babies has really enriched that understanding for
Mm.
me so
Definitely.
far. And the way in which you kind of regard them, I think changes. I think the words regard,
Mm.
you see the world from their perspective
Yes. Yeah.
a little bit more, which there's a lot of magic in there.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
Mm.
One word or phrase that you would use to describe your journey with Minty and Lila so far, because it's still only very early.
Still very, very early days. Meaningful is definitely a word that stands out for me. I've got many words, many, many words.
Yes, I know. Well,
Um,
I did say one word or phrase. You can make it just a phrase of a selection of words.
Yeah, I think the word that stands out the most is meaningful.
Meaningful. Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
Meaningful.
yeah. Anything you'd love to say to them if I mean, they probably are going to be listening,
Yeah.
if they're listening to the podcast.
They're definitely listening. And if not listening close, definitely listening. They'll be like, tell it,
They'll be
they'll know.
feeling into,
They'll
yeah,
be,
the
yeah,
energy behind it. Yeah.
definitely here. I don't know. I think when I think of like it all just comes back to gratitude. I think that just for them to know, how grateful I am to have them in my world and in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, how excited I am for us to continue on layer by layer, step by step, path by path,
Yeah.
um, day by day. That yeah, just how grateful I am for them to be here along the journey with me.
Mm, amazing. And a couple more word games, or one more, and then we'll go into the guest. Hi, kitten. My big boy Elvie just walked into the room. Um, before we move into the final question. So if there was, hmm, just looking at the options of questions I can ask you here. If someone was considering working with me, what would you say to them?
Do it.
Do it. Quick,
Simple, quick,
simple.
simple. Do it.
Just do it.
If
Nike.
I know looking back that there was a spark, if you have that, there's that little niggly voice inside of you, or that little bit that's just like, I'm unsure. I'm,
Mm,
you it's definitely you don't have to do it on your own is a big part of kind of advice that I give to people, and that find the people out there, like find your support out there and
yeah,
use them. Yeah, just do
definitely.
it.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah. And the final question that I ask every guest when I remember, if there was one thing you could change about the human animal relationship, what would it be?
I would love to invite people to have more curiosity, I think, Ruth. I would love us human beings to just have that touch more curiosity towards our animals and how we relate to them. And I would love for people through that curiosity, I think we're able to see what the world looks like. Like it's almost like we get to see the world through the glasses or the lens of our animals and our fur babies, and how
Yeah.
different, like their perspective, what they can see, and
Mm.
share. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful because yeah, they see because of their, you openness and greater access um, to energy and the way that they operate on instinct. It's
Mhm.
such a, like it's just this deep knowing and, also very feeling as well. And that ties into the energy as well, how they respond to the energy in the environment and awareness. And, I mean, the best lesson that cats provide is rest more, put
Mhm.
yourself first, you know, like that's such great wisdom to impart on us humans. And for dogs, it's kind of like be happy, do
Mhm.
what lights you up, do what brings more joy into your life. I mean, they're both very stereotypical assessments of the dog and cat, but it's a stereotype that is accurate, you know.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I agree.
So thank you, Elsa. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we close?
No, I don't think so, but thank you so much.
We did it. Despite the tech dramas, we did it.
Despite the real world, real authentic is how it is how it comes. But yeah,
Exactly. We've gone into my lunch break. I've now only got half an hour till my next client to put some food into my belly, but it's
practice.
okay. It's okay.
Thank you so much, Ruth.
You're
This has been
so welcome. And who knows when we'll next speak? Hopefully not for a long time in terms of the dog's health. Um, but who knows? Maybe there'll be a new course that I run. Not that I'm planning on creating anything new anytime soon, because that's obviously been a way that we've worked together as well through
yes, yeah.
courses. Yeah,
We didn't
we
mention
didn't
it when
mention
I
that, did we?
asked. No, but yes, I've been a participant in
In many,
many
yes,
many of Ruth's courses,
yes,
and
you have.
the education and the learning that I've gained out of all of those has been amazing.
Thank
So
you. Thank you for sharing.
beautiful.
Okay. Well, all the best with Minty and Lila, and I'm going to we'll close this beautiful conversation. Thank you to our listeners and our watchers for joining us for this conversation today with Elsa about her beautiful, beautiful journey in with her dogs, Minty and Lila. I hope it's given you a glimpse into what is possible when we honor our animals, not just as companions, but as sentient beings with needs and wisdom and a deep capacity for healing and connection. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share it with someone who you think might benefit, who might be interested in what we've talked about, or leave a review to help others discover the show. And if you're feeling called to explore holistic support for your own animal, you can find out more about how I work on my website, ruthhatten.com. You'll find the link in the show notes. And until next time, sending you and your animals lots of love. Have a beautiful rest of your day.